I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is a Night Classy, a podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and discuss the topics we wish we could teach at school. What are we drinking, Hayley?
Well, we have quite a variety. We had to clear out our fridge because we have a lot of random beers and things built up. I have a Dog Days. It's a pink lemonade shandy by the Crosstown Brewing Company, local to Memphis.
Yes.
What do you have?
I also have a local Memphis beer, but it is from Wiseacre Brewing, and it is a Memphis Sands. It's a lager. It is very delicious, and I also have a Corona on the queue over here.
I have a Memphis Sands in the queue. Yeah.
We were like, oh my God, we're out of boxed wine. And then we're like, but wait, we have a fridge literally full of beer. So
chock full.
Yeah.
So we're ready to go.
Yeah, we are ready. Also, Kelly told us right before we left that it's National Red Wine Day.
We totally messed that up. Like, how did we miss that? Like, the one day that we don't drink wine. Not the one day. We've had a few rogue beer days, but...
Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of red wine still in that box. We could drink red wine when we get home.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm ready for this weekend.
Oh, me too.
To partay.
Oh, it is time to party as soon as I get home because we just completed our first week of in-service.
Yeah. Let's play a board game.
Oh, yeah. What board games do you want to play?
Let's play all of them.
Oh, all of them. Good idea.
All of them.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Let's just one after another stay up all night.
Yeah. And then we'll have to be kind of quiet. We'll shut the doors because Alec has his thing in the morning. So
it'll be okay.
We'll respectfully party.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Girl night. Okay, cool. Like I said, we completed our first week of in-service. So that means we were in the school doing stuff. We don't have kids yet. Kids come on Monday.
Yeah. For you, not for me.
Oh, that's true.
I have more early childhood training all of next week. And then that week after that, it looks like we'll be doing assessments on the kids. And then the week after that, we start virtually teaching preschoolers.
Yes.
Virtually. Again.
Because that is something that will work.
Emphasis on virtually.
And they're making them go to school for like 4 hours, right?
It's virtually impossible.
I think it's literally impossible. They're poor parents.
We're going to find a way. And they only are going like for half the day. So it's like 3 or 4 hours. And then we do individual lessons at the end of the day. It'll be interesting. I think that's the best way. It's like a tsunami kind of that I'm watching quickly come towards me, and you're closer to it than I am.
Oh yeah, and I keep telling myself I'm gonna be okay. Like, all the teachers around me are panicking over how to use Microsoft Teams, and I'm just like, okay, like I'm millennial, Gen Z cusp, like I think I like can intuitively do this, so I haven't really been stressing about the technology, but that's kind of my personality, is I don't stress about it, and therefore I don't practice it, and then I like get destroyed. So
yeah, you're like your calmness is both a pro and a con of like as far as dealing with things.
I just have too much confidence in myself, like more than I should have, but it'll be an experience for everyone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We are living history.
Oh, yes. Can't wait to complain about this era to my children.
Right.
Someday.
I'm going to be on the History Channel talking about this time. Like, it was great until it was not great anymore.
Yeah, it was great when all we had to do was like drink beer and play board games together at our house. And now we it's actually catching up to
the different phases of quarantine, where I saw a meme about this where it's like you're exercising and you're going walks every day and you're doing puzzles.
There was that phase.
Yeah, you
the
guys
puzzle
went on
and exercise phase
every day for a long time.
Every day, and I bought Just Dance on Nintendo
you
Switch,
did.
and I was dancing every day for like a week.
Right. I was running. I hate running. I ran a half marathon, and after that I was like, never again. No will I run ever.
I can't relate to the running, but I was meditating and yogaing. So, but that only lasted like the first month of quarantine, and then
and I wonder if it's because we thought that it was going to be a limited time thing. We're like, okay, I really need to take advantage of this time that I have to work on myself. But then that's
exactly what it was.
Then it's like when you get 6 months of free time, you're like, does anything matter?
It stops mattering, and then it just turns into like a bender of pizza and beer and sleeping until 2 p.m.
And then having to go buy new jeans.
The toilet. Yeah.
Because that is a thing. And that's okay.
And that is,
our bodies change, and that's okay. But as far as my wallet goes,
I was just pissed about having to buy new jeans. Like, I only have 2 pairs of jeans that fit, and that's because I just bought them.
Yeah. Me too.
I just want to have options again, but I don't.
I know.
Like our principal was like, you guys can wear jeans to school all week next week. And I was like, cool. I like can't because I don't have any that fit.
Can we wear leggings?
Yeah. All my work pants are like the stretchy, like baggy trousers. You know what I mean? Like the trendy ones, but they're like as comfortable as sweatpants. So
I will say Old Navy has a great pair of high-waisted work pants.
Are those they're called like pixie jeans? Yes, I got
a pair. I got some of those. And that's the one, they were on sale for like $14, but I missed it. I was like, I'll just get it tomorrow. And then it was back to like $30 or whatever.
That sucks because I feel like they're always on sale. Like the ones I have were definitely really cheap.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check in because I need a white pair of pants to wear with some shirts. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that. So hope you guys enjoyed us talking about our
these are the things we think about as teachers in quarantine.
Takes a lot of planning, but my kids are never going to see my pants because I'm going to be sitting. Okay,
I'm like also concerned, not really concerned because I'm going to be wearing pants and work pants at that. But like if I have to stand up, which like I think I will probably end up having to stand up and like using my whole body. But that's something I thought about too. It's like I can just wear leggings and it'll be fine. But I'm like, no, I don't think I can.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. School is like, it's crazy. Like growing up, my teachers wore leggings and shit. Like it didn't seem like there was any dress code. They'd wear like athletic clothes, like athleisure. And in the South, they like make you dress up to be a teacher. It's crazy.
That's so crazy to me that your teachers were athleisure.
The Pacific Northwest is so chill. Like teachers would show up in like leggings and sweatshirts.
My gosh, I wish I knew what that was like.
I know.
Did you have like any expectation for having to dress up for school?
No,
before you got here?
Well, I mean, I talked to someone who had taught down here and she's from Washington. So she was telling me, she's like, yeah, they like, you have to dress in like business clothes to teach. And I was like, okay, I had to buy a whole new wardrobe because I'd had internships and like worked in offices, but like even the offices, like they don't usually make you dress up in Seattle. Like, yeah, it's all about being comfortable.
Right.
So I had to buy a lot of clothes from Old Navy.
Darn, I hate buying new clothes.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of do hate buying teaching clothes because they're ugly.
I don't think all of them are. I think there are some cute ones.
The ones I buy are ugly because I don't want to spend money on that.
You just got to go to Goodwill. I'm telling you, you can find some really good things.
Oh, you're really telling me I need to go to Goodwill?
Yeah, you don't know.
Goodwill, like every week.
You don't know this already.
This is a shared passion, Hayley.
All right. Well, now we have that established.
Okay.
Let's keep it rolling.
So voting for Best Memphis Podcast is almost over by the time this comes out. So please, if you have not voted, click the link that it will be in the show notes or go to our Instagram, click the link. It's easier if you use a laptop or a desktop, not your phone, but you can do it on your phone. Vote for us for Best Memphis Podcast. We want it. We need it. Please do it.
Please. Yeah.
And it's going to ask for your zip code. Don't worry about it. You don't have to have a Memphis zip code.
Yes.
It's just for internal data at the Memphis Flyer, the newspaper that's hosting this.
People have a lot of concerns.
Yeah, people are freaking out about the zip code thing.
They don't want to like get caught for cheating.
Yeah, they're all my friends are asking me like, do I need to like put in a fake Memphis zip code? I'm like, no, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about the zip code behind the curtain.
You can see their feet, but just okay.
But yeah, it takes 30 seconds and it would really help us out. So we'd appreciate it.
We would really appreciate it. Also, I have great news, Hayley.
Really?
Yeah. If you remember a month ago.
I'm so surprised. Like, great news? What?
Now?
Okay, I'm sorry.
In
keep
these
going.
Unprecedented times, we have great news. Yes, we do. So if you remember last month, from June to July, we grew by 50% in listenership.
Right.
And from July to August, we grew 100%. We doubled our numbers.
Oh,
so
my God. I didn't know it was at 100%.
Yeah, we had 100% growth through the month of August. So I mean, I'm telling Hayley because I am congratulating her, but I really, truly just want to thank our listeners.
It's all on you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone. Seriously, a lot of people have been sharing stuff about us in their Instagram stories. I'm sure that is huge. So thank you. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, everything is paying off, and we are growing and growing fast. So thank you.
And word of mouth is so valuable. Like, not only does that reflect how you feel about us as a podcast, but people really trust that. Like, if somebody tells me specifically about a podcast or shares something on their story, it makes me want to check it out because they are specifically singling out something that they like and are sharing it because they think that you might like it too. So thank you for doing that. And if you like us and want to help us, I don't know, maybe we'll fuck around and get to 200% for September.
Let's do that.
Yeah, thanks for shouting us out, and just keep doing it. We could not do it without you all as listeners.
Seriously, we are like always like shocked, flooded with gratitude, truly. And speaking of flooded with gratitude, we also have a new Patreon supporter. Woo! Her name is Lizzie. She is lovely, and she is also a teacher. So thank you, Lizzie.
Teacher girl.
Yeah, teachers sticking together. I love all the support we get from teachers. It's so cool.
Teachers need other teachers. Like, I cannot imagine teaching in, like, last week we talked about the single room schoolhouse, like in total isolation. I could not do that. I rally around my school.
It's a whole community. I could not survive without other teachers. That's like literally why I'm going into school every day, even though I don't have to, because like I need to see other teachers.
Yeah, I'm like low key regretting teaching from home. Maybe I'll switch
can switch. Yeah. We did breathalyze, so I blew a 0.135.
I got a, what was it, 1.59?
1.59, you'd be dead.
What? Or 0.159. I was like, what do you mean? All right, let's do this thing. Welcome to Miss Madden's class. So since we're officially in Virgo season, I thought that it would be fun to conduct a lesson about astrology and zodiac signs.
I'm so excited.
So whether you buy into astrology and take it very seriously or just think it's a load of bullcrap, this lesson will give you a brief history on how humans came to seek out messages from the stars. So first of all, I want to make a clear distinction between astrology and astronomy, okay?
If you need that distinction, I'm concerned about you.
I mean, last episode you did say astronomy accidentally in the place of astrology or vice versa.
Okay.
So
I stand corrected.
And yes, I am worried about you.
I mean, case in point right here. You should be worried about me.
Okay, so astronomy is a science. It is a proven, very real thing. It is the scientific study of everything in outer space. And there's science, again, to back it up.
There is science,
which is real.
There.
Now,
and we are hoes for it.
Yeah, we are hoes for science. Now,
TM.
Astrology, astrology has yet to be proven. It has been around for it has been around for a very long time. But it's still, even though it's not really a real science, it's still very fun to play around with. And a lot of people just relate to astrology and use it to communicate and relate to each other.
Yeah, it's like an excuse for why you're being a bitch. Like, sorry, I'm a Gemini.
Any excuse, yes. Geminis in general. We're going to talk about Geminis. Not to single you all out, but I'm singling you out because I grew up with two of them in the household. So, double whammy. Let's start with the history of it. What do you say? We're going to go back to the Babylonians in 2300 BC. They were always looking up at the skies, and they realized that there's a pattern in how the sky looked at night, like where the stars were and the moon, what that looked like in its cycle. And they realized that there was also a pattern in other things that they could track and relate to how the sky looked. So this was like women's periods, the tides of the ocean, the weather, whether it was hot, cold, or somewhere in between. And like I said, the eclipses. Fun fact, eclipses of the moon, the Babylonians thought that their gods were angry at them and that they wanted to kill their kings. And so what they did was they would hide their real king and get like a fake king and like make him look like the king. And then they'd sacrifice him instead. And as far as we know, historically, based on like the evidence and artifacts, all the kings survived safely from the gods. The Babylonians picked out and distinguished 12 different constellations that could be seen during 12 different parts of the year. And so these perfectly aligned with their calendar that also had 12 months. And so each month was assigned a zodiac sign that was represented by the constellation in the sky. There was one hiccup though, because the ancient Babylonian tales, they actually tell us that there were 13 constellations in the zodiac. So they didn't really actually align. They just ended up cutting out the 13th zodiac, which was Ophiuchus, I think.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that one time, and it's like, you like think you're this sign, but you're really this sign, like some BuzzFeed thing.
Yeah, and we'll get on to like how it's still present in the sky, but it didn't fit into their calendar. So they were like, sorry, you're cut.
Yeah. Bye, bitch.
Yeah, you're benched. So we're never going to talk about you ever again. And so, yeah, they also ignored things like the fact that we couldn't actually see the specific zodiac signs during their assigned months for equal time. So it wasn't like you could see Virgo in the sky for 31 days. Virgo can be observed for 45 days, and Scorpius is only for 7. So it didn't really align like that. Yeah, the Scorpius, the constellation, or the sign, the constellation that stands for the sign for Scorpius. Okay. I didn't get too deep into it. Scorpio, yeah. Sorry. There were some things that I just didn't include details on because like that might be kind of boring.
That's fair.
So you're welcome. Now, other cultures also recognize less than or even up to like 24 constellations in the zodiac. So there are a lot of different types of zodiacs, and I'm focusing on the Western zodiac. Now, back then, astrology was astronomy. It was like the mix between the two, where they were studying the sky and collecting a ton of data, but they were also just kind of projecting their own ideas about what the gods were saying to them. And so there was that, but they had to get started somewhere, right? So there's also ancient people in Greece and possibly India about 2,000 years after the Babylonians. And they discovered precession, which is when they discovered that the earth revolves like a gyroscope. So this basically, and this is in layman's terms, and I'm not an expert, so don't ask too many questions, please. Again, it's like me trying to explain quantum physics.
Yeah, that won't be hard. I'm so tired that like my eyes keep going blurry.
Wake up. Come on. Yeah. Wake up. We've got a show to put on here. So precession, it gave them more accuracy. So it kind of exposed astrology a little bit because first of all, it gave us sun signs, which relate to the time of the year that we were born. And before this, these signs were based on the constellations that were visible in the sky. But sometimes they would overlap. Like you could see Leo and Virgo at the same time and they're like, I don't know. What is it?
Yeah.
Precession gave them specific dates attached to the signs. But then things got kind of dicey. So up until this point, they believed that the world revolved, like everything else revolved around Earth. Earth was the center, and everything else revolved around us. Now, astrology relied on that thought because our zodiacs were one of the ways that something divine was sending us messages. Now, when science popped in and was like, hey, we think that there's actually a different center to this whole thing. Like, they're not revolving around us. Astrologists were like, No.
So astrologists are always right, is what you're saying.
They're right even when they're wrong. And it was wrong. It was proven to be accurate as far as Earth not being the center of the universe as we got better tools like the telescope, the pendulum. It was like, no question, the sun is definitely the center of the universe. And that didn't really change their minds. People were still holding out on this thought for a long time. And also denying that Earth rotated on an axis. Now, one famous person who denied this was the French court astrologer Jean-Baptiste Morin. I don't know. Kelly, let me know if that's the right pronunciation. He fought for a long time to prove astrology as a science. I mean, maybe it was because his job relied on it or something like that, maybe. But he really believed in it. And so he even ended up resorting to doing things like predicting his friends' deaths to try to prove that he could read the stars and that it was a real science.
Hayley, imagine if I was just like, work is really slow. Like, I think I'm just you're gonna die next year.
Next year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, I think it would be cool if it was like, you know, in 50 years or 70 years,
maybe.
Because then it's also like, will we be able to prove it? Will we even be able to remember?
Yeah, you probably forgot by then.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I don't know how old he was at this time, or, you know, if it actually worked. I have no idea if it actually worked.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did. Nonetheless, other actual scientists made hella fun of him and discredited everything he did and said. Now, obviously, we know Sir Isaac Newton, he stepped in. He was like really interested by astrology, and he was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
This is pretty fun. He's like a scientist, but he has an astrology app, like just for funsies.
Yeah, just for funsies, just for a little like to relieve the stress in the day.
Yeah. He just like wants an app to tell him that like everything's okay. Like,
right.
You're going to have all your friends are going to like your ideas today. And right now, your strengths are in relationships and love.
Your strengths are in the way that you decide to perceive the other opinions in which people think other things.
Yeah,
and it's just a bunch of vomit from the freaking app.
Today's color is sky blue.
Yeah.
Today's number is 24.
Interpret your life indubitously.
Your lucky time of day is 6:34 p.m.
Right. So it's things like that. Now, it didn't work that way exactly for Sir Isaac Newton. He started to read up on astrology and he was like, none of this shit makes sense. This is not how it works. And so he started to use physics and math to actually prove and describe how the earth actually relates to the stars and kind of explain our universe.
And then all his friends stopped wanting to hang out with him.
Yeah, he was no fun.
Big stick in the mud.
Fucking wet blanket. Yeah. God. So yeah, astrology was a no-go for him. Now, we can credit medical astrology to something that is used in modern day medical practices. 500 years ago, who subscribed to medical astrology, doctors would draw up their patients' star charts and make predictions about their disease based in astrology, and then they would treat them.
That's fun.
Now, they were like the only ones who would actually write down things about their patients back then. There wasn't a lot of documentation. So the oldest medical journals date back to those of medical astrology. Not the oldest, but some of the oldest. Now, another thing that we hear a lot about is Mercury is in retrograde.
Yeah. I think it is right now.
Yeah. I think going back to school put Mercury into retrograde.
Yeah, like Mercury wasn't in retrograde, and then what's happening right now in our lives was strong enough to
shocked
do it.
Yeah. Now, people talk about this all the time, and basically it's when shit is hitting the fan in their lives, and it's used as an explanation for things just going crazy. And a lot of people relate this to like visits from the past, like your ex texting you, or just like crazy traffic. Like literally it's anything that could be Mercury's in retrograde. This is the reason why. Now I was like, what is actually Mercury in retrograde?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It is a real thing. It is not what we think it is. Literally, it is when the planet Mercury appears to be going backwards in the sky, but that's not actually what happens. What's actually happening is called apparent retrograde motion. Earth and Mercury orbit in the same direction, but not at the same speed. So one of us is going faster. Mm-hmm. I think it's Mercury. I'm not sure.
It's one of the two.
One of the two. But either way, it's just an illusion. It's kind of like when you're sitting at a red light and you're still and the car next to you is still, but then maybe the car next to you has some room to like move forward and they move forward. And then like, you're like, oh my God, I'm moving. Like where you get freaked out for a second. That's what it's like. It just seems like you're moving. It seems like Mercury is going backwards, but because we're going different speeds, it just creates an illusion.
That was a good way to explain that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, there's that. We can't really blame Mercury being in retrograde anymore. I am sorry, but that's okay, right? So far, I think you guys can kind of tell astrology, not really a real science, but but it is fun still. So I thought it'd be fun to look up some basic traits of some of the signs involved in this podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start out with myself, a Virgo, since it's Virgo season. Some of the key traits are that Virgos are modest and shy, meticulous and reliable, practical and diligent, intelligent and analytical. And then some of the not so great traits are that we're fussy and we're worriers, overly critical and harsh, and perfectionist and conservative. And it's funny because I'm like, yeah, I could see all that. But I think that's just kind of I
think that's
how
the
these
point
signs
of
work.
every sign. Yeah. It's it all has universal traits that someone can be
that everyone.
Yeah, it's me.
Everyone can buy into. And so,
but that being said, I still believe it, and I still really relate to my sign.
Now there are some things based in science and that research supports that do have to do with the month that you're born. Do you guys want to hear about any more of just basic traits, or should we move on? Yeah. Do you want to hear?
I want to hear about it.
So, Kat, you're a Capricorn, correct?
Yes.
So you are practical and prudent, ambitious and disciplined, patient and careful, humorous and reserved, but you're also pessimistic, fatalistic, miserly and grudging. Miserly. Yeah. Miserly. Miserly? Miserly. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. And grudging.
Yeah. I think that I am outwardly a Capricorn. Those are the traits that people look at me and think that I'm like. But my rising sign is Cancer, and my personality, my internal personality traits are more like a Cancer. But okay. I look like a Capricorn to people.
Yeah, I would say you're definitely patient. At least you're understanding. I think that translates
I'm patient
to patience
with people. I'm not patient when I'm trying to do stuff. Alec and I bought this giant rug and it needs to be cut. and I was like, okay, I was telling Alec, I'm like, all right, you're gone. Is it okay if I just cut it? And he's like, yeah, just be sure you measure first. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the patience to measure.
Yeah, because the rug was impulsively bought and it's the size of the room for everybody at home.
I have no patience when it comes to stuff like that. But if you're a big human, I'm very patient with you.
You very casually were like, oh, I needed to cut the rug. And I'm like, people don't just cut rugs.
I do.
Yeah, it sounds like a mental breakdown to me.
I mean, I guess every day of my life is a mental breakdown.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
So your rising sign is a Cancer. That's also Tommy, my boyfriend, and Kelly, our friend and roommate. And that means that they're emotional and loving. Definitely loving. I'm thinking of Kelly. She's just a loving soul. Intuitive and imaginative. If y'all haven't heard this story that Tommy created for us on his Patreon episode, check that out because he definitely is imaginative. They're shrewd and cautious, protective and sympathetic, also changeable and moody, over emotional and touchy, clingy and unable to let go. Ooh. I don't see that in either Tommy or Kelly, but I know a few Cancers that could go with.
Yeah.
Now, like I said before, I grew up with two Geminis in the house, my mom and my brother, and they're kind of known for being a little bit of a wild card.
A little shady.
Two-faced. Little snakes. Love you guys, but you're Geminis, so
you can't help it.
You can't help it. It's just who you are. They're adaptable and versatile. They're communicative and witty. Definitely witty, my mom and my brother. Intellectual and eloquent, youthful and lively, but they're also nervous and tense, superficial and inconsistent, and cunning and inquisitive. Alec, you're a Taurus, correct?
That I am, yeah.
Okay. So you're patient and reliable, warm-hearted and loving, persistent and determined, placid and security-loving. You're also jealous and possessive. Bum, bum, bum.
Watch out.
Yeah. Resentful and inflexible, self-indulgent, greedy. I don't really see any of that in your personality.
Yikes.
So I feel like, again, a lot of this is just a bunch of random stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure there are other sources, but you guys can look up. There's different compatibility rates for different zodiac signs and things like that.
Yeah. Alec and I are very compatible.
What are you guys? Let's see. You got a Taurus and
Capricorn.
Let me see. I've got a little chart here. Taurus and Capricorn. According to this chart,
drum
you
roll.
are 98% compatible. Woo, woo, woo. Good
and
job,
that's why
guys.
we're still together.
Me and Tommy are only 90% compatible.
Ooh. You guys should break up. Just kidding.
Time to go to a counselor.
Right. Yeah.
Couples counseling.
I'm already in the process since he made us make that prison wine. So
what's like a 0% on that list?
Let me see. The lowest on this list that I see here's 33% for Gemini and Taurus. Oh, there's 27% for an Aquarius and Cancer.
Didn't you say your ex was a Gemini?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys broke up, so this is real.
And I'll edit this out, but she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So.
Shout out to cuckoo bitches. In a bad way. I mean, also in a good way. I don't want to single anyone out. If you're a crazy bitch, put your hands up.
Embrace it.
All you Geminis. There are also a lot of famous people who subscribe heavily to astrology. Now, Ronald and Nancy Reagan, I did not know this, but they fucking loved astrology. They were like hardcore for it. Like they hired an astrologer, and a lot of presidents actually have hired an astrologer to help them make difficult decisions.
Presidents are cray.
I can't really blame them. At that point in my life.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like making like life and death decisions every day, you might just want to put it up, like give it to the stars.
Yeah, give it to
I
the
don't
stars.
want the responsibility
AKA
for this.
Total randomness. Now, also, JP Morgan is quoted as saying, "Millionaires don't have astrologers, billionaires do."
Oh my
okay. He said that in court. And it's a documented quotation. Millionaires don't have astrologers. Billionaires do.
Okay.
I mean, he was a billionaire, so
so he would know.
He would know. And he loved astrology. I want to talk about some things that are true in science, or at least research based, that are related to astrology. A study was done at Semmelweis University in Budapest. I don't know. Do you guys know which one it is?
No,
Okay.
I don't speak whatever they speak in Hungarian.
Me either. I'm not sure. But it's a university. You can look it up. There was a university done that revealed that...
Wait, you said there was a university done? We just retake that sentence?
Yeah, there was a research done at
Research.
There was research done. Oh my
tired.
God. I
It's
know.
not our fault.
No, you guys got it.
My brain is a little bit dead, a little bit checked out. I'm sorry.
Man, it's
I'm
so
trying
dead.
to be present in this moment. Basically, there's a ton of things that happen to you mentally that are related to whether you're born at a certain time of year. So there's hyperthymic temperament. It's a tendency to be excessively positive. There's a significantly higher rate of those who are born in spring and summer. Those born in winter were significantly less prone to irritable temperament than those born at other times in the year. Those born in autumns show a significantly lower tendency to depressive temperament than those born in winter. Another study was done at the University of Swansea in the United Kingdom that found that people with schizophrenic and bipolar disorders were diagnosed way more common for people who were born in January, February, and March than any other time of the year. In closing to that, there's still a lot more research to be done. Obviously, we can't conclude that astrology is a real thing, and none of that proves that it's legit.
I think we can.
Other factors that could affect these things are family history, maternal infections, medications the mother took while pregnant, food availability, and also the age of children. You know, if you're born in September or like any autumn month, really, you could be much older or much younger than the other children in your grade, and that affects how you interact with other kids.
Yeah.
Because it could be a whole year difference. Like maturity varies greatly. So do your own research, do your own thing. I personally definitely stand on the side of science. And Neil Degrassi also thinks astrology is bullcrap, but it's still super fun to explore and has a lot of historical significance.
Don't delete those apps on your phone.
Don't. They make you feel good or bad.
But also, if that app tells you to reconnect with your ex or do something crazy, you don't have to listen to it.
Right. Don't do it. Just use it as a stress relief. Repost memes about it if you relate to it. Let your astrology flag fly.
Yeah.
That is my lesson. Class dismissed.
Thank you, Hayley. All right, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors and we'll be right back.
Oh, wait. I need to cite my sources.
Oh, yes.
And will you say Neil deGrasse Tyson? You said Degrassi, like Nickelodeon.
Should I just redo that whole ending or just say it? DeGrasse?
You can just say it, unless you guys think that's funny. But it'd be good to acknowledge it.
Yeah, let's edit that.
I didn't even hear it.
I was like, oh my god,
Neil deGrasse.
I know. Good God.
We could just leave this part in.
Yeah, we can let people know that we're fixing it, but I didn't want people to be like screaming at their phone, like,
right.
Oh my god,
idiot!
Please, I'm so sorry. It's like when you drink and you're tired and it's been a long week. You say Neil Degrassi instead of Neil deGrasse.
Wasn't Drake on that show, Neil Degrassi?
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. For some reason, for a second, I think it's because you said Nickelodeon. I was thinking about Drake from Drake and Josh, and I was like, I don't think he's old enough. Was he someone's younger brother?
Yeah, he played a Gemini, but he's totally a Cancer. All right, so my sources are NASA, spaceplace.gov, Time Magazine, The Atlantic Courts, and ucdavis.edu.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Class
we'll be right back.
Bye-bye.
Hayley, guess what comes this week?
Is it our new ethyl ambrosia?
Yeah, it's our new box of ethyl ambrosia. And I got new flavors this week. This week we're getting blue.
What?
Yeah.
What is blue? Blue's always the best. I mean,
blue. What is blue? The flavor is blue.
It's the color. The color is the flavor. The flavor is the color. It's blue.
And I can't wait to eat it. We get the whole rainbow this time.
Oh my god!
So excited. If you live under a rock, or if this is your first time listening to our podcast, Ethyl Ambrosia is a vegan luxury gel shot brand.
But not for a luxury price either.
Yeah, it's a good deal, and it can be an even better deal when you use our promo code.
That would be NightClassy15 for 15% off your box, or you can do a BOGO deal. You can buy one, get one 50% off using our code NightClassy BOGO. BOGO.
Yeah, so don't sleep on this deal. This is their best deal yet. You want to get in on this. You have to. They make such a beautiful gift. They come in a push-up cup. Trust me.
Just to clarify, we're talking about an alcoholic gel shot that is vegan and beautiful.
Yeah, freaking gorgeous. Yeah, don't miss out.
Ethyl ambrosia, period.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, so I just re-signed up for the gym and I'm ready to level up in my healthy lifestyle. And thankfully, we've partnered up with Build Bar. Not only do they have 16 grams of protein, but these protein bars are delicious. And they're also a female company ran by two corporate professionals who are also creating Build Bar.
Yeah, and so Build Bar does have a lot of protein. You can get the gains if you're hitting the gym like Hayley, or if, like me, you do nothing but you have a very thorough skincare routine. Build Bar has a ton of marine collagen in it, and it will help your skin be glowing, your nails be long and strong, and your hair be long and luscious.
Luscious. Love that for our hair. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't know, our bodies naturally just kind of stop producing collagen once you hit 25 or so.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. We want to just keep on steady producing collagen. So Build Bar will definitely help you with that.
Yes, it will. And if you, like us, are interested in getting your own box of Build Bar, you can get 10% off with our code NightClassy at buildbar.com. That is BYLD bar.com.
Be a snack and eat one too.
Yes.
rolling.
Okay, Miss Barnhart is in the building. Teacher mode. It's been weird going back to school and everyone calls me Miss Barnhart now. It's kind of fun though.
Yeah. Like Hayley. I mean, Miss Hayley. I mean, Miss Madden.
Yeah. Miss Barnhart. Okay, so today I am going to be teaching you about something called Aquagenic Urticaria. And my sources are Medical Mysteries podcast by the Parcast Network, ABC News, The Cut, and allergicliving.com. Before I explain exactly what aquagenic urticaria is, I want to start by telling you the story of Alexandra Allen. And Hayley, does this story sound a little familiar to you?
Yes, it sounds like it's from our last episode.
Lost, not last. Lost.
Right.
Sorry, I heard lost.
Once again, lost episode.
It sounded like you said from our last episode.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it is.
Your British was coming out.
Last episode. Yeah. But so I actually did record this story like ages ago, like when we first started the podcast.
Yeah. It must have been like our sixth.
Yeah.
If not like third or fourth.
Yeah. So like half a year ago almost. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I recorded this story, but I don't know if Hayley remembers it because we had to scrap that whole episode.
Hayley was on antibiotics.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I decided to ignore the directions from my doctor that were not to drink on antibiotics. So it was like, what could really go wrong? Well, what happens is if you drink alcohol, the antibiotics like magnify it by like 1,000% and you get really messed up.
Yeah.
So Kat did a great job on her story, but mine was a total failure and I was really unwell.
Yeah. But it was a blessing in disguise because like this week with school has just been nuts and I didn't have time to do full research, which seriously takes like 6 to 10 hours. So I easily, like if not more. So I just went with taking some old notes and I did revamp them. There's new information. So like, don't fear. Like this is still a lot of this is going to be new to Hayley and we're just going to get into it. So like I said, we're starting with a girl named Alexandra Allen. Alexandra was a pretty normal girl. She was growing up in Utah. She describes herself as a little on the nerdier side. She had big dreams. She wanted to be a marine biologist and live on a sailboat. Or if that didn't work out, she wanted to be a National Geographic photographer. So just really adorable. And in 2009, when she was 12 years old, she went on vacation in California. And as you do when you're in California, you play in the pool. So she was playing in the pool at her hotel. And then after the pool, she went up to her hotel room. And soon after, she broke out in a violent rash. Huge hives all over her body. She was having a severe allergic reaction.
Me, anytime I go into the sun.
Yeah, basically.
A severe allergic reaction. Your Irish is showing.
Yeah, us Irish people, we're allergic to the sun. It's true. I don't know if Alexandra was Irish, but this was concerning to her mom. But her mom just assumed that like it was probably a chemical in the pool that caused this. Like pools are full of chemicals and other weird shit. Her mom gave her some Benadryl, had her take a shower to rinse off the chemicals, and put her to bed. But after her shower, she was still stinging and itching like crazy. It did not let up. And she managed to go to sleep a little bit, but her hives, she woke up in the middle of the night and like they were even worse. And over the next few days, that's how long it took for her rash to go away.
My gosh, if a shower can't fix it, you know it's bad.
Yeah, nothing. Showers. If a shower doesn't fix it, that's when it's time to go to a doctor.
That's how you know you have whatever this is about to be.
Yes. So Alexandra she was a normal kid. She had been in pools before. She loved to swim and she had never got hives before. So it was all kind of confusing, but as we probably know, you can develop allergies randomly. They can come on a lot of times. Like the more you're exposed to an allergen, like the more likely you are to get allergic to it, like bees. And so they didn't really know what was going on, but it wasn't too weird. And not too long after the vacation, her father bought a hot tub. And so Alexandra tried the hot tub, but the hives came back when she got in the hot tub. And so again, she took Benadryl and the hives went away. Again, her parents figured like, oh, it was the chlorine in the hot tub. They tried different chemicals, all kinds of things, like natural ones, salt, like trying to find something to sterilize the hot tub with that wouldn't irritate Alexandra's skin. But no matter what they tried, she kept having an allergic reaction to the hot tub. So they were like, that's weird. And she would take a shower and shower off the chemicals, but the shower would make her hives worse.
You just can't win.
So they were just confused. Her parents like stopped trying out different chemicals in the hot tub. They're like, we don't know what to do anymore. She should just be careful around hot tubs and pools is kind of their conclusion.
That's so annoying.
Yeah.
To like go to a specialist, like a medical professional.
Well, she hasn't yet.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're tired, you guys.
Who did you say she just was at? And they were
her parents.
Oh my God. Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was daydreaming.
So.
Okay. I'm back in it.
All right. So she just avoided the hot tub for a year. And like, obviously that sucked for Alexandra. Like her parents just got this new hot tub and she couldn't use it. That's really sad. But when she was 14, Alexandra went camping near the Flaming Gorge Reservoir in Wyoming. And she was really excited to go here because the water was natural and untreated. And so she could swim.
Chemical free.
Organic.
Homegrown water.
It was. But unfortunately, she went swimming thinking everything would be okay, but her hives came back worse than ever before.
Really? Worse?
Mm-hmm. Worse. She was rushed to the ER, and in the car ride to the hospital, her throat began closing, and the stinging on her skin was like absolutely unbearable, like the worst pain she's ever felt. And just as she made it to the hospital, she went into anaphylactic shock.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so really bad reaction. And the doctors told her the reaction was so bad, it caused her organs to bleed internally.
Whoa, that's intense.
Really, really
that's
bad.
That's like really scary. Internal bleeding, because you can't see it, but it's like instantly deadly. Yes. I don't know. It really freaks me out.
Yeah, it is really scary. That's like Alec and I have been watching this show called Dr. Pol.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Pol.
It's a vet show, and there's an episode where it's actually really sad.
Like, it's like the first episode.
Yeah, a horse falls down and it causes internal bleeding.
It did the splits.
Yeah, and so it just like ripped a bunch of stuff inside of it.
So the horse looked fine, but inside it was all bleeding and split up.
Yeah, it was really sad.
No. See, that's what it's like. You can't see it, and that's what's scary. Like things that are invisible, they're like elusive and they're sneaky like that.
Yeah, and there's like almost nothing you can do to stop it. It seems like at least. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
At least in horses.
There was nothing they could do in that one time I saw that happen.
So did he have to put the horse down?
The horse died on its own. And then he did an autopsy. And the autopsy was really scary. He like split the horse open.
With like a machete.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he like spilled everything out into the road, and then he just left, and the lady's like, clean it up.
Did he clean it up?
No, he made the person whose horse died. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do an autopsy, like cut the horse in half, and he's like, okay, bye.
Oh no.
And they did a to-camera interview, and the lady was like, yeah, it was pretty traumatic seeing the horse get cut open like that.
Yeah, it was traumatic for me. I did not like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's like the first episode. They're just throwing you right in. Yeah. It's a good descriptor though. Yeah. Little precursor for that.
Anyway. Okay, so luckily Alexandra did not die, but her hands and feet were also incredibly swollen. Like she was messed up, but none of the doctors there could tell her what was causing the hives. She ended up years going to specialists who would test her skin to try to find an allergen. She received tons of pinprick tests where the patient is scraped with a needle that is covered in an allergen to see if they reacted to it. And over again, she didn't react to anything. They could not figure out what she was allergic to. Alexandra became more and more sensitive to whatever was causing the rash. Her reactions became more frequent, and sometimes she broke out in hives after just washing her hands or being outside in the rain. Years went on, her reactions became more frequent, but a little bit more predictable, which at least made them easier to manage. She was starting to understand her triggers and was able to avoid it. And so she was doing okay until 2015.
What were her triggers?
Water. Yeah. I was hoping that people could just infer that on their own.
I mean, I didn't know if like she connected to several things and that she had like specifically gotten to the bottom of it at that point in time.
Right now it seems like water. So she'll break out in pools, lakes when she's washing her hands. So water seems to be the common denominator. And then in 2015, Alexandra was at the movie theater watching the movie Up, and she cried in the opening montage.
I mean, who doesn't?
I know. It's really fucked up. It's really sad. She started crying, and obviously that's embarrassing. She's like a young teenager with her friends and like doesn't want them to know that she's crying. And then even worse, her eyes start to burn, and she realized she was having an allergic reaction to her own tears.
Oh no.
So she went to the bathroom and her eyes became incredibly swollen. She's later quoted as saying, quote, "That was the last time I ever cried." End quote. So
that's not good. Sometimes you just have to let it out.
Right.
It makes you feel better.
But she can't.
Burns.
So like I can't imagine having that feeling where you're literally allergic to your own bodily function. And also you feel so weird because you don't know what's wrong with you. This stuff is just happening to her.
Yeah, there's not an easy way for her to explain to her friends. Like, yeah, I have this and it makes me do this.
Yeah. And not only that, but she, like we said, she considered herself kind of a nerd. And I guess she came from this like really liberal family, and they were living in the suburbs of Utah, which is very conservative. So she already kind of struggled to fit in with her classmates. And then she had this on top of it. And having a chronic disease, no matter what the disease is, can be very isolating, especially something like this because it's so rare. She didn't know anyone else who also had it. The people she, like you said, when she tried to tell people about it, they didn't understand. They thought she was lying or not telling the whole truth. It's just confusing to everyone.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there was no cure. There was no standardized treatment. Doctors didn't know what was wrong with her. She couldn't go do things with friends. She'd get invited to go swimming or go to the lake, and she couldn't go. But through all this, she like kept struggling to figure out what was causing her hives. She would break out one day, and then the next day the same trigger would have no effect. Sometimes antihistamines like Benadryl would help, and sometimes they wouldn't. But by the age 16, she started to suspect that she was allergic to water because that was her only trigger.
And that's so crazy.
Yeah,
I just can't get over that.
It sounds crazy.
Did it affect her when she drank water?
Not really. And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
She told her parents this suspicion, but it sounds crazy. They dismissed the idea, told her like it has to be something else. But one day she read an article online called Top 10 Weirdest Diseases. And one of the diseases listed was called Aquagenic Urticaria. And it's described as being like an allergy to water. And the symptoms matched hers exactly.
That's such a crazy feeling. One time when I had mono, I typed in all the symptoms and it was like mononucleosis or cancer. And I was like, oh my God.
It's always or cancer. Yeah. Luckily it was mono.
I was like, no, I have mononucleosis or cancer.
Yeah. Like I don't want either. Yeah. I mean, if it came down between the two, I guess mono.
Yeah, definitely better.
This time you want
still
mono.
A struggle.
Yeah.
But it's weird like actually having a website tell you about something that like you never would have thought. Like obviously it's not at the same level as being allergic to water.
Yeah.
But that's the easiest thing that I can even relate at all to.
It's the same. Anyway, so Aquagenic Urticaria,
aka mono,
unlike mono, is a degenerative disease, which means it gets worse over time. And it tends to be more common in women and emerges during puberty. So far this all lines up.
Why do women have it so hard?
I don't know. They just do.
Dang it. Dang it.
It's God punishing Eve for eating that apple.
Darn Eve.
That darn Eve. Okay. So Alexandra was excited that she thinks she knows what's wrong with her. So she went to a dermatologist and told them that this was wrong. This was what's wrong with her. This was her suspicion.
Did they believe her? Were they like, oh yeah,
kind of? They had never heard of it. So they were like,
so rare.
okay, like I guess you know what's going on with you, but less than 100 cases of this have ever been reported.
Isn't that so weird when it's so rare that it even exists at all?
Yeah.
That like the same mutation or whatever causes it can happen.
Right.
So like,
it's so weird. And I'm sure that a lot of people that have it, like it goes unreported because like, at least before the internet, because like who the fuck is allergic to water? Like unless you have an ability to look this up online, you would never come across
just
it.
suffer through.
Yeah. Only about 50 people living today suffer from this disease. And the dermatologist looked it up and started asking her questions. And while discussing, they figured out that a lot of her symptoms made sense. Like she suffered from really bad dry mouth and dry eyes. And this is because her body had possibly reduced its water production in order to kind of like help her skin out.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Because of her symptoms.
Instead of just not being allergic to water, it was like, I will adapt and overcome.
Yeah, it is crazy though how the body adapts.
Yeah.
And
wait, do our bodies produce water? Water production?
I mean, your body lubricates your eyes and saliva.
Maybe it just redirected
like instead of like your body doesn't make water, but instead of like taking water out of the water you drink and diverting it to there, like she was probably just passing it.
Gotcha.
Because of her symptoms, her doctor did give her the diagnosis she had come in there asking for, which was aquagenic urticaria. And her parents heard this and wanted a second opinion just to be sure. I don't really blame them. So they took her to the University of Utah Dermatology Center. And there was no test for this because it's so rare.
Yeah. How would you even test that?
I'll tell you. So the dermatologist there had to like come up with a test on the spot. So what he did was he soaked a rag in water, pressed it to her arm, and then waited. And after 20 minutes, hives appeared exactly where the rag had been. And so it was confirmed. Alexandra was allergic to water.
It's not a WAP.
Oh, yeah, she probably doesn't have a WAP.
That's not appropriate, but
yeah, I'm sorry.
What's in my mind.
She seems like, I think she'd think that was funny. Okay. She seems like a cool girl. Anyway, so.
She did not need a bucket and a mop. She was allergic to that.
She's allergic to that. Okay. So on one hand, Alexandra was happy to have a diagnosis. She finally had an answer.
But where do we go now?
What?
Like, where do you go from there?
I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm just trying to interact with you on our podcast.
It's not allowed.
Okay, just lecture me.
Okay.
Someone's cranky.
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm sorry. I need my pizza. Anyway.
Always.
So she was happy to have a diagnosis, but she also, like, it made her feel even, like, more strange and more like an outcast. Her family would like joke and like tease her, like call her the Wicked Witch of the West because like she couldn't be around water. And Alexandra would like laugh, but like it sucked. Like she describes this as like being really shitty.
Yeah, that's literally insult and injury.
Yeah, both.
And dehydration.
Yeah. And no more WAPs. So though having this diagnosis made her, I just read that. Oh, no, I didn't. So, so having this diagnosis, again, like we said, like it made her condition a little bit more bearable. She kind of knew how to treat it. She started taking antihistamines every day. She was prescribed medical creams and she started carrying an EpiPen just in case she had a really serious allergic reaction. But the main and pretty much only like actual treatment for aquagenic urticaria is just to avoid water. You might be wondering, how did she bathe and how did she drink water? She had to bathe as little as possible. So when she got this diagnosis, her life kind of changed a lot. She could only take 1 to 2 really quick showers per week, like get in, get out. And she had to take cold showers because hot water made her hives worse.
Oh gosh, that's like me rinsing off the self-tan. It's like 45 seconds in lukewarm water.
Yeah, you can't have it too hot.
It's so cold.
Yes, this is exactly the same. And so some of her worst hives came from when she'd get out of the shower, her wet hair rubbing against her back. So she had to cut her hair short.
Oh.
She also cut out meat and dairy so that her body would produce less oil, and that would reduce her body odor because she couldn't shower very much. So she was just looking for any way to avoid sweating. Another way she avoided sweating was she would exercise at night so that it was like cooler, so she wouldn't sweat as much. She also avoided dirt anytime she could, because if she had to scrub her skin, it was like really bad. It'd get really irritated. And she also had to stop washing her hands after using the restroom, but luckily she was able to use hand sanitizer.
I feel like hand sanitizer is really drying. So
yeah,
it worked out, I guess.
Less water, I guess. I don't know how that works. Yeah. There's water and alcohol. So that confused me a little bit. But she also couldn't use most lotion or cosmetics. And even some of the creams that were prescribed to her ended up hurting her. She could only use powder makeup. Rain was dangerous for her. She had to carry multiple umbrellas. Anytime it rained, she'd like make a cocoon around herself with the umbrellas. And she could also have reactions like just to humidity, even mild humidity in the air. And she did visit Cambodia one time, but like Cambodia is really fucking humid, so it messed her up. She can never really go back. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. And like we said, aquagenic urticaria is a progressive disease, so it gets worse over time. It's a skin condition, so doctors don't think it will hinder her ability to drink water, because that goes down your esophagus. It doesn't really touch your skin.
That makes sense. Well, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because damn.
Yeah, that'd be really bad. But it's possible that her esophagus could also start reacting and cause her throat to swell shut. So it's pretty dangerous. Because it's a degenerative disease that gets worse, the more she comes in contact with water, she has to limit the amount of water she drinks. So she's pretty much always dehydrated.
And I wonder, are there like long-term effects, like lifetime wise? Can that shave time off of your life to be dehydrated for extended periods of time?
I don't know. I didn't think so. Look into that, but yeah, I would imagine. And there's always that possibility that she might become allergic to drinking water, and then she's just kind of screwed.
Right. I wonder if maybe she could just eat Jell-O or something.
Yeah, like something to hydrate, but like it still has water in it. Yeah. So depending on like how bad the allergy got,
just
I don't know.
Hook up to an IV every day.
Yeah, maybe. She also drinks out of a straw only to like avoid the chance of water splashing out and touching her skin. And she once met an older woman with this same disease, and that woman told her that she only drinks Diet Coke because it irritates her skin less than the water. Which is interesting, because I feel like I don't understand this distinction between like alcohol and Diet Coke and water. Like it still has the same amount of water in it, right?
I don't know. I feel like because it's a different thing, it's made up differently.
Yeah, but it still has H2O molecules in it.
Maybe the way the body processes it and digests.
Maybe.
Yeah, like
I don't
Diet
know.
Coke is like 99% water.
Yeah, it's water.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this was all about. It also affects her social life. It's really hard to get to know new people or go on dates, because pretty much everything involves like the possibility of getting wet. Like you go out in the rain, you go to the beach, like you go out to dinner and they're like, why are you drinking out of a straw like that you have in your purse? I guess that's kind of normal now.
Yeah, I was going to say what?
But like you still like it becomes a thing that you have to explain to people, and like a lot of people will just assume you're a little crazy.
Yeah, it's a whole thing that's like not actually who you are, but it becomes part of who you are.
Yeah, it totally does. And it just like constantly, it becomes this thing where you're constantly having to share this like very like intimate medical knowledge about yourself that like really is nobody's business, but you have to explain it because like otherwise you're doing these weird things for no reason, you know?
Yeah.
So it definitely hinders her. It also changes her ability to travel, like we said. She also, like as a girl, always dreamed of living in Portland or Seattle, but obviously those places rain a lot and that wouldn't be good for her. So what exactly is happening here? How is she allergic to water? So the theory is she's not actually allergic to water. She's allergic to something her skin produces in response to water.
What does our skin produce in response to water?
So your skin has something called sebaceous glands, and those glands react to water coming in contact with them. And what they do when they feel water is they secrete a substance which waterproofs the hair and skin.
Okay.
It's basically like an oil.
Yeah.
And aquagenic urticaria can be caused by a defect in the sebum that could produce some kind of toxic substance instead of what it's supposed to produce when it's reacting to water. Her cells are basically, the idea is that they're releasing histamines in response to the substance on her skin. And histamines are what causes a lot of allergic reaction. That's why you take like Benadryl, which is antihistamines when you're having an allergic reaction. Again, she's not really allergic to water, but she's allergic to the compound made by her skin when it comes in contact with water. And this is why taking antihistamines sometimes helps ease her reactions. But some research finds that histamines might not be involved with aquagenic urticaria at all. This is something so rare and so new. We don't really know for sure what's going on. A 1998 study found that histamine levels in some aquagenic urticaria patients did not increase when exposed to water, but we don't really know why that is. Mm-hmm. Maybe they just weren't like sufficient enough levels to show up on tests, but they still increased because there's such a small sample size. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
This still points to the possibility that something other than histamines is causing the reaction. The other theory is this could be a compound called acetylcholine causing the reaction. This is a chemical released by the nerve cells to activate the muscle and other cells. And they think this might have something to do with it because in one experiment, again, there are very small sample sizes for these experiments, petroleum that repels acetylcholine was put on the skin of patients having a reaction to water, and it did reduce their symptoms. So that's kind of why they think this.
That's good. And honestly, it's good that they even conduct these experiments because it's such a small amount of people in the population that have this disorder.
Totally.
For it to even be on the radar.
Yeah, and
that's great.
People are fascinated by it. Again, this suggests that acetylcholine may play a part in causing the hives, but also like there's this idea that maybe it's both. So maybe acetylcholine and histamines might both be involved. And this actually makes a lot of sense because in Alexandra's case, she would take antihistamines to help her reaction. And sometimes the antihistamines helped, and sometimes they had no effect at all. So if it's both of these things, maybe sometimes it's one more than the other. Yeah. That might explain it.
It's a flip of the coin.
Yeah.
When you're allergic to water.
It is. It's a really unfortunate coin flip. There's one more possible explanation. They think that maybe people with aquagenic urticaria could be absorbing water through their hair follicles. And this results in a change of water pressure under your skin with more skin on the inside than the outside. And maybe this causes...
skin on the inside? more
water on the inside of the skin than the outside of the skin. Yeah. And
but isn't that just normal to have more skin?
Well, it's not normal.
More water on the inside.
It is more normal to have more skin on the inside of your skin than the outside of your skin.
But what about water? Tell me about water.
It's not normal to absorb water into your hair follicles and then it gets under your skin, and that's irritating.
I see. Okay, because I was like, we're like mostly water though. Like we should have a ton of water.
There's water in us, but like there's not like foreign water like embedding itself in your skin.
Right, because that could kill you actually.
Yeah, it can be really dangerous. Apparently this is only supported by one study of one person, so it's like a little sus.
Okay.
But, and also the way this happened was sus. Apparently this person plucked out all of their leg hair and then bathed in salt water got an allergic reaction all over her legs. And like maybe this is a case because like if she just ripped out all her hair, like water ends up going into those hair follicles. But like I guess if you wax, there's wax residue, which probably repels water. But I think in this case, they really said plucking. So I don't know It seems odd. I couldn't find much information on that. I think out of all the theories, this is the worst one because it was just one person who like had this weird experience.
Okay.
And most people don't pluck out all their leg hair and then bathe in salt water.
Let us be clear. We are hoes for science, but sometimes it eludes us.
Yeah. In this case, it definitely does. None of these theories have been proven. I definitely lean more toward it's a combination of the first two, at least in Alexandra's case. Maybe for some people it's one or the other. And then for this unfortunate soul, like maybe it's getting in through her hair follicles. Yeah. Also, like, can you get aquagenic urticaria? I read this and got like really skeeved out and like afraid.
Like that it would just happen
that it would
to
just
you?
happen to me. And the answer is probably not, but maybe.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God. Oh, no. So most of the time it occurs sporadically and spontaneously to people with no prior symptoms. There's a little bit of evidence to suggest that it may be inherited. There was one family that reported having the disease in 3 generations of their family. It could be genetic. It could be random. We don't really know. Or it could be both. But
we still don't know.
We still don't know. It's so rare. Like for most people that have it, there's no familial link. But if you do get it, you don't have to worry too much. Alexandra has still managed to live a somewhat normal life. She went to college. She still travels the world with her dad, who's a motivational speaker. And she has a really good sense of humor and great attitude about her condition. She's quoted in an NBC article saying, "At least I'm not allergic to dogs. And sometimes it gets me out of doing the dishes."
Oh, yeah. Positive attitude will get you very far in life.
She has a great attitude. And yeah, this might not be as bad as being allergic to dogs. And
I'm just imagining her saying those lines through a hazmat suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes your only option is to be super positive.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's kind of what happened to her. But she does have a good attitude. She's become kind of the unofficial spokesperson for this disease. She does a lot of interviews, has written a lot of articles. She seems like a really cool person. So that was my lesson. Thank you and good night.
Thanks. All right. You ready?
Yes. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.